Casey, we played college while we're out there trying to lose weight. We usually go to Burger King afterwards. That really messes up the basketball part of it. So we're just out there trying to have fun, socialize, meet people, play some basketball. We love the game. But for some people, this is their Super Bowl, and they take it with such passion and such a fever, and they come at you and they're dirty. They are just dirty players. There are elbows and knees. In the past 3 years, I've had 13 staples put in the ridge of my head, and I went to the hospital one night. Casey drove me there. I almost got my tongue bit off from the elbow and the chin. And both times, I'm just sitting. I could literally have been at half court eating a sandwich, not messing with anybody. And people are coming up and karate kid me in the face and the head. They're just dirty. When those things happen, I don't want to respond and just be even. When someone undercuts you, elbows you don't want to go, oh, you did that, so I'm just going to do that right back. No. We want to one-up them. We want to get them back even worse. And we do that in life. We do that in our relationships when the pain comes and when the rejection is present. We want to even reject harder. And that is unfortunate, but that is the truth. Now, rejection is a part of our lives, but acceptance is a part of our lives too. And God has made us to want to be wanted. That we would want to be chased after and needed and wanted and used in a very special way. Think about the time you filled out the application and you sent it in, and there were 30, 40 other people, and you didn't know if you even got a shot, and then they called you. It felt good, didn't it? It felt good to be wanted and needed and asked to come back. When maybe you're single now or married, and there was that point in which you were chased, okay? And you may not have even been, you may have been Lisa to a Phil, okay? You may not have had any interest at all. But it felt good being chased, didn't it? To know that you were liked, that you were wanted, that someone saw you a little bit differently than everybody else. And so with the topic of rejection and how negative that can be, acceptance can just swing the tide all the way around and make a person just blossom and feel totally different, special, and on a whole different level in their little world because of something you or I did in their life. And we see this in the story of Zacchaeus in Luke 19. And if you go to Luke 19, there's this amazing story about a guy who really didn't get it right too often. Luke 19 verses 2 through 4 really just tell kind of the pre-story to what's about to happen. So I'm going to read that, and you guys can get there as I read this. It says, there was a man there named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass that way. So a little background on Zacchaeus. He was a tax collector. And tax collectors in those times were very hated because the majority of them would cheat the people. You would have a tax you would pay, and then in that region, if your tax collector was dirty and was a liar and was a cheat, would steal, he would charge you extra because the soldiers would be on his side. The politicians would be on his side. The military would be on his side. So he really had the freedom to push and do whatever he felt like. And so in that region it says Zacchaeus was the chief tax collector and he was very rich. So we know from this story that he wasn't run-of-the-mill wealthy. He was over-the-top wealthy. So he was a cheat, a steal, a liar. He would push and prod and get whatever he wanted. And so Zacchaeus in this region was not a liked individual. And so Jesus is coming this way. Zacchaeus has heard the stories. Maybe he's even seen them from a distance before. And Jesus is coming, and Zacchaeus is excited, and he is trying to fight his way to the front of the crowd. But you got to realize, at this time, Jesus was bringing the people. He was bringing the crowd. So it wasn't 4 or 5 people to fight through. There were hundreds, possibly thousands. And Zacchaeus could not make it to the front. It also says he was very short. Zacchaeus was a wee little man. And a wee little, y'all went to Sunday school. If you didn't go to Sunday school, that's a song in which Christians make fun of someone's physical deformities. So welcome to church. Zacchaeus was a wee little guy, okay? So he couldn't see over the crowd. He couldn't see over the people, and he couldn't find his way through. And honestly, maybe even Zacchaeus went to the people and he said, "Excuse me, I'd really like to get to the front." And they would probably look at him and go, "Really? You want us to be nice to you? After you've stolen this and taken this and have this of mine?" You know, kick him in the head and let him go. So Zacchaeus runs ahead of everybody and he climbs a tree just to get a visual, just to get a little sight of Jesus. And Jesus sees him as he's walking and he points him out. And he says, "Zacchaeus, I know you. I know your name. I know who you are. And today I'm going to your house. I'm coming to eat with you. You will not be excluded. You will not be isolated. You will not be thrown out. I am going with you." And Luke 19:6 says this: Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. This was probably the first moment in a long time where Zacchaeus felt a part of someone's life and something. Sure, he went in, and sure he had conversations, and sure he did his job, but the relational dynamic of Zacchaeus' life, this story tells us, is horrible at this point in time. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have a social circle. No one is letting him into his world. And you look at the very next verse, Luke 19:7, "But the people were displeased." So Jesus says, "Zacchaeus, come down. Let's go eat. Let's go talk." And everyone sees it, and everyone's not happy. You been there before? Where someone else gets the promotion or the position, someone else gets let into the circle, someone else who hasn't been there as long and done the work, they're not as close as you are with that person, and they get something that you don't. You get rejected, and they get accepted. Zacchaeus had felt that for so long. He was a loner, just going around. He had all the wealth in the world, but nobody to share it with. And when we accept somebody, when we let them in and show them that they are worth something in our lives and in the eyes of God, it changes them. Amen. I was in 9th grade, and there's a youth group that just let me come play basketball and eat their food. That was enough for me. I did not know Jesus Christ. I did not know one single story in the Bible. I did not own a Bible, but they said, "You keep coming. This is your spot. This is your home. And we're your buddies." And it changed everything about me. Who I was, who I am, my future, my career. Because a couple of people said, "You keep coming." That's all it takes. It takes one person saying, "You can sit here." And a lifelong friendship is born. One that changes everything. But you got to start taking the labels off. You got to start segmenting and excluding and putting people everywhere and dictating who you let in and who you don't let in. Everyone's got to be on that same playing field we talked about last week. Everyone gets accepted. Amen. If we truly live that out, I think the Christian church would look dynamically different. There would be faces that aren't in these seats that would be in these seats. There would be lives going down a very dark path that would be going down a totally different path. There would be relationships that are broken and crumbling that would be built back together. But it takes a risk. We have to open ourselves and our hearts and our lives to those people, and the risk is it might not work out. The truth that I told you earlier, there might be a time to where Jesus said, "Zacchaeus, come down," and the person says no. And socially, there's these consequences and ramifications, and personally, you're hurt and you're scarred, and maybe you take a little hit for a little bit, but that doesn't mean we stop accepting. People didn't accept Jesus at this point in time, and they still don't today.